Hey, 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 it's Friday, June 19th, 2020. It's great to have a Friday. You can see Tom's got a different background. I've got the sun hitting me because I'm on the back porch. It's a great day, Tom. First I got to do my usual thing. You probably think we're going to help you make $1 bajillion today. We're not. You might make $1 bajillion over time. We're realists. We're renegades. We know that you're not going to do something today that makes you $1 million tomorrow. The odds of that are significantly smaller than you would think. What we're hoping to do is get you to think about your issues, whatever problems facing you, whatever challenges you have, and thinking about what we're discussing might give you some kind of solution to move forward. That's our goal here. This is today's Antidote. That's Tom Brush. I'm Bob Graham. And we've been talking about consistency all week. And Tom, I will tell you, it's a little inconsistent for me because I'm on the back porch. The sun's hitting me weirdly. You don't have your milk picture in the background. Did someone steal that?
I actually don't know. I don't have the answer to that. There was some pictures that were added and the milk carton is gone. So I have to do some discovery into that.
Yeah. America wants to know. They're used to these things.
I'll let people know on Monday. How about that?
Well, this might end up in People magazine.
I doubt it.
So consistency is something that we've been talking through this week, and I think we've laid a lot of foundation about what it is and where it helps and where it can be, where something it might be a constraint, but it actually has a value. And I think the question I have for us to talk through now is, how do you find consistency? Because we've circled around the real important thing, like, what do I do with this information you guys gave me?
It's a good question, and I think you can. Yeah, it's a good way to start.
It's like we did this, like we did this, like we did this before.
Right. No, I think that one of the things I think about consistency is it's unique to each person, and I think really the way we find it is figuring out what are those things that we want to be better at or we think are important, and how do we have success. Because I think the realization is that when you're consistent in your approach to trying to solve a problem, you are going to be more likely to solve those problems. And that might be, I need to be more aware of when I'm checking email. It might be, I need to restrict my time on doing something to a short amount of time, or I need to really focus on this. How can I find an hour a day to really focus on it? And the key piece is it has to work for you. I can say what works for me is once a month, I send my goals to my coach, an update of where I'm at. And that consistency works. It's not too often where I'm feeling like all I'm doing is trying to report on my goals rather than actually work towards them. And it's not so infrequent that I feel like, I've forgotten about what I was doing. So that consistency works for me. For some others, they might need to do that every week, or they might need to do it every other week.
Or every day.
Or every day, right. Depending on, where you're at and how big the goals are or what the things you're trying to achieve. And so I think we all have to figure out, one, what are those key things we're trying to accomplish? And two, what is a method that we can use to try to get there, at least for now? And how often can we do it? I think defining how often, what means consistency or how often is consistency is going to be different for everybody.
I like the word try that you use. Try things and see what works, because I think I've worked with people in the past who got stuck in, I've got to do this thing. And it's like, well, it's not working for you. What? But I've always done it this way. There's consistency for consistency's sake, and there's consistency like, this is getting me where I want to go. If it's not getting me where you want to go, like for a whole bunch of people, green smoothies are the great answer. I tried it for 3 months. It didn't work for me.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't work for someone else. It just didn't work for me. I've
Right.
had people say, well, if you kept doing green smoothies in the month 6, it would work for you. So I think you've got to give it enough time to think through it and say, is this achieving the desired result or not? And if it's not, try something else.
Right. And I think that that's an important piece of it, is that the important part about consistency is it's a consistent effort to achieve that goal, not necessarily a consistency in the action, because the action might be, and you've talked about this before, I need to make 10 calls to potential clients or just people I want to connect with a day. Okay, well, those 10 calls, the consistency of that is one way you've identified to try to get in front of more people.
Sorry, I got to go, Tom. I got to make a call.
Yeah, you're a little behind today. Is that what you're saying? Well, and what happens, I think, is if all you're doing is getting on the phone and just saying and having a conversation about nothing, you're probably not getting to where you want to be. If all you're doing is getting on the phone and trying to sell, you're not getting to where you want to be. If your phone line is down and you can't make 10 calls, well, how are you going to get in front of people? So I think it's understanding that we need to have a consistent effort to try to achieve a goal. We need to evaluate what the current effort we're doing is, and maybe do we need to modify that part of it, not the fact that we need to do it on a regular basis.
Right. I like the example we were talking about before this, where about the email, that you have the people check their email every 5 seconds. If it dings, they're there, or they get the pop-up notification. They drop everything to look at the email. So they're in the middle of doing something, returning an email, and another one comes up, and they've got to read it right then. And they, the research is it takes up to 15 minutes to get back to your train of thought. If you do that 16 times a day, you've lost at least half of your workday.
And how do you focus?
Right, exactly. So if when you talk to someone and say, what if you only checked it when you got to work, right before lunch, after lunch, and before you leave? Oh, I could never do that. Everyone needs my response right away, because you've consistently responded within 30 seconds every time.
Right.
You've created that consistency that's unrealistic and ineffective to your success. And I think that's as important as anything else, is the idea of being overly consistent with actions that aren't striving to reach your goal.
And why is that? Just because we feel like that's what we've always done. I've always responded within 30 seconds. I need to always do that. And I think one of the things about that is sometimes, and this might be going off in a different direction, we don't value our time the way we value others' times.
Right.
Like, you get an email and you think, well, that person took the time and it's coming from somebody who's really important. I need to get back to them right away. And so all we've done is said, my time isn't as important. I can stop what I'm doing and start responding to you. And I was talking with a client about this yesterday, because they were having trouble focusing. They're like, I got so many things to do. And I was trying to help them break down, how do we focus on one thing? And I said, what if you just figured out what's the one big thing you have to do today? And I said, how long can you stay focused? And they're like, well, I can usually stay focused about 90 minutes. I'm like, okay, so close all of your other tabs. And so you're not getting any notifications, and just focus on that for 90 minutes. Even you could set an alarm. Okay, the 90 minutes is up. Because she also said, I have some emails out that are important and I need to respond in a timely manner, but it doesn't have to be right away. I said, work after 90 minutes, take a break, check your email, limit yourself to 15 minutes, and then go back to what you're doing or move on to whatever the next thing is. And I said, if you could get consistent in saying, I'm not going to be interrupted by my email, you probably will find you have more time and you're more effective within that time.
So the consistent action that you were advocating was doing the one important day, or one important thing for the day, every day.
Correct. And getting rid of the distractions.
Okay. Right.
Getting rid of because the notifications pop up and you're like, especially depending on who it's from. You get an email from like your supervisor, the head of your board, your lead donor, or your best client. You're like, I got to respond to that. not being like, that can probably wait.
Although I had one client say to me, hey, you respond really quick. Makes me think you don't have anything else going on. And I was like, huh, wow.
Absolutely. And we wonder sometimes why people don't appreciate what we have going on. Because if we are able to respond at a moment's notice, okay, we're just sitting there waiting for people to email, and that we're only reactive. We're not proactive about what we're trying to accomplish. And I think that's a big challenge and hurdle for people, is that because they're so responsive, people will communicate with them at all times, day, night. And so they've eliminated boundaries of, again, my time is not as important. I'm willing to give up my time to respond to you.
And that's a form of consistency that we've created, and we've created the behavior in other people to make that there's an expectation.
Right.
And I think that's where consistency over consistency can really bite you.
Because we've created an expectation, right?
If you if you send me an email at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, I'm not going to reply. That's just
right.
And on the weekends, I'm not going to be around as much. That's just, if you really need me on Saturday at 2 p.m., you'll call me.
Right.
And I might tell you, hey, Tom, you know what? Pound sand. It's Saturday. I don't really care about you today. Or I might go, hey, what's going on? If you really need me, you'll track me down. You'll send me the 911 text message. I got to talk to you right away. And I think that need that we have to feel like we are needed often creates, I had to think about it too, often creates that need for consistency, that we want to set a level of consistency for other people that puts us behind the 8 ball.
Right.
Like I have a policy where it used to be, if someone said, hey, can you write this thing? I'd love a press release, blah, blah, blah. It takes me like an hour. I'm really a fast writer. And so I'd say, yeah, I'll have it to you tomorrow. How silly was that? Anyone else they talk to would say it would take a week. So now I tell them a week. I usually write it the next day. I sit on it for a day. I review it the day after. And 4 days, not 5 days later, I send it to them. So it's earlier than the expectation.
Right.
And it still meets their expectations. And it also allows me to focus on what I need to focus on. Because if I'm constantly dealing with other people's fire drills, and I'm consistently doing that for other people, I have no control over anything.
Yeah, you've given up all of you have said what you're doing in your time is not as valuable. You can drop that to do what they want to do.
Right. And that's the kiss of death. So I guess another thing I would say in terms of consistency, Tom, if we were doing a checklist, it would be really good to accept that you're going to have days where it doesn't work out. Life gets in the way. The kids need to be dealt with. Your car doesn't work. Your cell phone is doing an update, and you're like, or whatever, now more than ever. Or you're at home and you just can't do that thing. And I see often that people get derailed by one slight hiccup. It sends them into, I can't be consistent. And so the third item on your list that you do every morning, you didn't do today, and suddenly that's it, I'm done, throw it away.
Right, the world falls apart.
And I think that's probably more often than not when I'm coaching people into consistency, that's what I've got to treat more than anything else is, they'll call and go, I didn't do item 3 today. I go, okay, did you do item 4? No, I got to get 3 done. I'm like, let's get back onto the schedule. Let's let 3 go.
Right.
Shh. No one needs to know. I always do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, guess what? Today, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. The world will not come to an end, but often it's like, well, I didn't do 3. I didn't get to 3, so I'm done.
Well, and I think if we allow ourselves the ability to determine, again, what does consistency mean? Because consistency could mean I'm on a regular basis, I'm going to do whatever it is 3 out of 7 days a week. I got to that point with working out. It was like, I didn't want to go every day. Like, I didn't find the value in that. For me, because of the type of workout, I liked a day of rest in between. And so my consistency was 3 or 4 times a week, I am going to do this. And I was okay that some days I'm going to not feel like it. Some days I might have a really busy schedule. And so I haven't almost set myself up for failure trying to accomplish something that I know is probably not going to happen. And then I feel guilty about it.
Right. And there's no law that says if you set the consistency at 3 times a week, that if you go 4 times a week one week because you just feel like it, it doesn't mean you failed.
No.
It just means that, hey, I did something extra. Like someone called me a couple weeks ago. I spent 20 minutes, not 15 minutes on this task. Okay. I'm cool with that. I grant you special dispensation that you're free. Oh, I'm sorry. I put my hands together. I shouldn't have done that. So with that, Tom, what's the one thing that we can do?
I think that when we're trying to find consistency, we have to find something that works for us. And we have to then be able to be comfortable defining what does that consistency mean. That's my thing. I think if you want to do it, define what that means and be okay with whatever that is.
I would agree with that. And I would say, try it till you find it. It's funny when it fits like a glove. I've had times where it's like, why didn't I think of this like 5 years ago? This is so awesome. And when it really works, you will know it. I mean, you don't need anyone to be like, dude, that's working for you. You're just like, I'm in the zone so much more easily, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be huge stuff. We're not talking about creating an 8-hour agenda for your day. If listening to 3 jazz songs before you start making calls in the morning helps you to be in the right mood for the morning, guess what? Be consistent with that every day, and boom, you're going to make better calls. And you will have done something consistently to derive the result you want. So with that, Tom, this is where I get to do a little pitch. If you haven't joined our Ring of Renegades, please join us. I will tell you in that group, if anyone in that group wants some help trying to figure out what consistency looks like for them, Tom, I know you'd love to talk to them. I certainly would. And we can give you some suggestions, maybe talk about what kind of things you're facing, because we do this a lot, each of us. The other thing is, if you want to take your business, your endeavors to the next level, really take action in a powerful way, we have a group called the Renegade Wayfinders. Man, you hit that right on. It's so funny. You're like, say it.
I was waiting.
I know. The Renegade Wayfinders, where we're really taking action. We're using, oh boy, this is where I've got to get them right. Goal setting, action, focus. I forgot perspective at the beginning.
Perspective, action, focus, accountability, all within a community.
That's it. Thank you. I'm a visual learner, and I've only written it out one time. I need to write it out for me. But you may say, what does that do for you? What that does for you is it's going to give you some of the things we talked about this week with consistency. It's also going to give you a community, and that community part is really valuable. People doing great things, surrounded by people doing great things, lead to more great things. It's not going to be people going, why would you? They're going to be people going, hey, that's cool. How can I support you? How can I what do I know? What do I have that I can support you with? And that's what Tom and I are excited about. We're in that group ourselves. We're doing things in that group. So if that's something of interest to you, we'd love to talk about it. You can go to renegadewayfinders.com and find out about our Wayfinders group. We are running a deal right now. That deal is coming down like super soon, and it is super bargain basement pricing. I can't believe it's so low. You'll have to.
But it is.
It is what it is. That's it. There you go. Tom talked me into it. That's all I can say. So go with it. So, folks, it's been a great week of consistency. I do not remember what next week's topic is. I was going to look it up, and I did not capture it. I'm so sorry, people. You'll just have to come back Monday at 8 a.m. for another episode of today's Antidote. Have a great weekend. Be healthy. Be safe.
Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you back here on Monday morning.